Astros fans were living a great life on Thursday, top of the world, top of the American League. Then all of a sudden, the game happened. The A's came in and dominated the Houston Astros. We'll talk about this on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros. We hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talks Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Guys, thank you for making Brett and I part of your daily routine, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make us part of your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go ahead and check us out. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. That's right, Game Time. If whether you're trying to go to the A's game on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you don't have tickets, that's not a big deal. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And Game Time also is download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. I guess I'm having a little off night just like the Astros did, but just imagine just the high that the Astros came back to Daikin Park in. They were top of the American League. They had finally climbed up the big hill. They are tied with the Blue Jays for the best record in American League because the Blue Jays ended up winning yesterday and they won today. So the Blue Jays have the best record in the American League right now. We'll go and talk about that a little bit more later. But for about 2-3 hours, the Astros were kings of the American League. And then this game happened today. And sometimes baseball is going to baseball. And that's why I put the title, because you never know what's going to happen. You can beat a good juggernaut, offensive juggernaut like the Diamondbacks were, who are about to trade everybody. They traded Josh Naylor. I want to say it's because of him taking his foot off the bag of one of those bunts yesterday. But I think this is the start of a fire sale in Arizona. But after this high of that sweep against the Diamondbacks, you face Luis Severino, who just dominated the Houston Astros, and it just felt like the Astros never had a shot in this game. And to make it better, the Astros don't have many options because of injuries. We'll talk about some of the guys that possibly coming back a little bit later, but Ryan Gusto is going to get the start tomorrow. And Dana Brown had some words about who he's targeting at the trade deadline. No, he didn't say names or anything like that, but what specific positions is he looking for at the trade deadline? So let's go and get started. I think that we're just got to look at what's going on with the Houston Astros. You see them play this great series against the Diamondbacks. Granted, it was not pretty. They had come back a couple times. They lost the lead a couple times, but they ended up sweeping that series. And then you come home. We talked about in yesterday's show, Luis Severino is terrible at that minor league ballpark that the A's call home in Sacramento. But on the road, he's a whole different character. And he did that today. He went out and totally controlled the Astros offense. 7 innings, 4 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. And his ERA on the season is 4.95. Just let that sink in, that this guy who is 4-11 on the season just came out and shut down the Houston Astros. It was pretty much a shutout until the 7th inning when the Astros scored 2 runs. And it was one of those games that was like, okay, they scored again. Wait, they scored again. It's now 5-0. Can the Astros get to Severino? And then they got the 2 runs. They're like, all right, we can do this. We can do this. The Astros can do this. They've been doing it. They've been doing it so much recently. They've got the magic. They've got that fire. They can do this. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of those Cinderella stories. This wasn't one of those comeback stories. But the Astros aren't going to win every game. Unfortunately, the A's just played a much better game. Taylor Trammell was the leadoff hitter again. He looked like one. He had 3 hits in today's game. He went 3 for 4. His batting average is all the way up to 260 with an 807 OPS. So he's looking pretty good. Caratini's looking pretty good at the top of the lineup. And Christian Walker did get a walk, RBI in today's game. Cam Smith got an RBI in today's game. And then Bryce Matthews got his first home hit at home, so that was good. But otherwise, the Astros got 6 hits on the game, 9 strikeouts overall, and it just seemed like nothing could get going in today's game. As good as things were going recently, it just didn't happen in today's game, and it just looked like they couldn't get anything going, and it didn't matter that Jason Alexander went out there and gave up 5 runs. It didn't matter. The Astros only scored 2 runs in 7 innings. So it didn't matter if Jason Alexander gave up 3 runs at that point. The Astros were still going to lose this game. The offense has got to be a little bit more consistent. And Jason Alexander, that one start with the Astros was pretty dominant. He is what he is. Some of these guys, like Brandon Walter, we need to count our blessings how good Brandon Walter has been this year. You don't get these guys too often where they are as dependable as Walter is. But Jason Alexander was a guy that the Astros got on waivers, and he is exactly what you would think he is. He may be good. Sometimes he may be bad sometimes. I think today he was iffy. He gave up 11 hits, 6 innings, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, gave up that 1 home run. His ERA on the season is 8.14. Granted, that was inflated from his first stint with his old teams, but this is where the Astros are because of all the injuries. They're having to deal to go to the Jason Alexanders, the Ryan Gustos, the Colton Gordon. Nothing gets Colton Gordon. I think that he's going to have a good career, but they're having to go to guys that if you would have told us that the Astros would have to be having a rotation of mostly rookies or journeyman pitchers that you wouldn't have heard of before they were acquired by the Houston Astros, I think would have been like, hey, this is crazy. So I don't know. Don't know what the Astros need to do. They've been playing pretty good, but then right before that 4-game winning streak, they were not that great. So hopefully this is just one game out of a 4-game series. Maybe they can just put this behind them. Luis Severino is good on the road. He dominated the Astros for 1 game. The Astros be facing Jeffrey Springs tomorrow. Maybe they can take care of business against him, but there was not much to really talk about with this game just because it was all pretty much one-sided. It looked like the A's were the better team. It looked like the A's came a little bit more prepared. And maybe the Astros are like, oh, we can't do anything wrong. And they just didn't play their best game. And like you think about what the Astros did on Wednesday. They put out that AAA lineup without Jose Altuve, without Cam Smith, and they still won that ball game. But then you put out most of your current regulars. The only difference in today's game, and I'm not going to put this on John Singleton, but John Singleton was in the lineup as the DH. So he's wearing number 35. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, Justin Verlander, he's the GOAT in Houston, and that's his number. And I would think that eventually they would retire that number because of what Justin Verlander meant to the organization, helping them get to the World Series. But you can't retire every number. But isn't it a little too soon to just give away Justin Verlander's number? I mean, after all, the Astros are going to trade for him, right? It seems like they always trade him back for Justin Verlander. But anyway, today's game, there was not really much to talk about. You had some good things happen, like Caratini. He continues to hit well. Altuve had a hit, but Trammell, he's impressing, and Cam Smith and Christian Walker with RBIs. But guys, next we'll go and talk about who's going to be next for in Astros rotation. And then later on in the show, we'll be talking about what is Dana Brown planning to do at the trade deadline. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Hey guys, you want to go to the game tomorrow? You want to go ahead and watch Ryan Gusto on the mound versus the A's and Jeffrey Springs? Do you have tickets? Don't worry about it. Just go and download the Game Time app, and you just go and as you're walking up to Dyken Park, pay for parking or just park somewhere for free, whatever you want to do. And you can just save money on tickets. Like sometimes people can't sell their tickets, so they get at the last minute, they just want to try to get rid of tickets or whatever it is. But Game Time is the best place to try to get tickets cheap. So if you want to save money on tickets, splurge on food, drinks, merchandise, or even invite a bigger group to come with you, Game Time makes it all possible. Game Time makes buying tickets simple and fast. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and the lowest price guarantee that take the worry out of buying. So Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easier to browse the app for upcoming Astros games, seat views right in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what you're going to see when Bryce Matthews has another 2 home run game, or Jordan Alvarez eventually comes back to the lineup. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. The code is LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Alrighty, so I know that Christian Javier pitched today. I haven't seen exactly what happened with Christian Javier in AAA. Jacob Melton actually started into today's game with the Space Cowboys as well. If somebody could look that up real quick for me, that'd be great. But we have some reinforcements that are on the way back. You have JP France who are making starts. You're having Christian Javier and then Luis Garcia. And Spencer Arrighetti. You have some guys that are on the way back. But at the same time, it's crazy to think that the Astros are where they are. Ryan Gusto was announced after a game that he's going to start the game tomorrow. Well, he has pitched decent in the past for the Houston Astros. I just don't know. I just don't have that much faith in him. Watch him go out tomorrow and just go out and just totally dominate the A's. But I don't know. This first game in this series just kind of left us with a bad taste in the mouth. And I know Severino is not a terrible pitcher, but Ryan Gusto is still only 26 years old. He's 6-3 on the season with a 4.46 ERA. He keeps on going back and forth between the rotation and the bullpen. He has 12 starts on the season in 22 games. So he's made 10 appearances in the bullpen and 12 appearances in the starting rotation. So they can't seem to decide where he wants to be. Now, those numbers aren't terrible. And so maybe he can go out there and do what he did against the Rangers the last time he started. No, actually, I think this was in relief, if I remember correctly, against the Rangers. But 4 1/3 innings, 5 hits allowed, only 2 runs, 4 strikeouts. But I don't know. This guy is just not somebody that instills me in a lot of confidence, I guess. I just wish the Astros just had more options. And the Astros have had to dig deep into their Ben says, thank you, Ben. Ben says that Christian Javier has gone 2 2/3 innings, 2 hits, and 1 earned run so far. So thank you for that, Ben. But Christian Javier, I don't think he's going to come back until maybe mid August, they're going to slow play it. Like Brett and I were talking about on yesterday's podcast, they want to make sure that when the postseason's ready, he's stretched out, he's ready to come back full steam. Luis Garcia, I think they're going to slow play him too. The guy I think they may rush back is probably Spencer Arrighetti. I think that he's more ready to kind of be on an accelerated curriculum, so to speak, where he can pitch. I don't want to say he's going to be back like in a week or so, but I think there's a chance he could be back before the other guys. JP France, especially with the shoulder injury that he's coming back from, I think that it may be a little bit longer road for him as well. But you can't wait on these guys. And the Astros have put themselves in this position. I remember having a conversation with Brett this offseason, and I was like, the Astros need to go and get another starting pitcher. And everybody was like, we have too many starting pitchers already. You can never have too many starting pitchers. Injuries happen. Like this fluke injury with Lance McCullers. Granted, he has not been having a great season, but he was still a starter, somebody that would go out there every fifth day. And so it's just the Astros have two really, you know what? I think Brandon Walter has earned the circle of trust. I think we can say he's one of our top guys now just because of what he's been doing. And I think he's been consistent enough that he's earned our trust. So we have three good starters right now. The rest of the guys are maybe fifth or sixth starters. Colton Gordon could be a little bit higher, but I still think he's trying to learn how to pitch in the big leagues. And once he does, I think you'll see a different Colton Gordon once he figures out how to get the outs at the big league level. But I think that it's a situation where the Astros, because they didn't go out and get some depth in the offseason, they're having to deal with it now. And so Dana Brown, I'll probably talk about this a little bit more in the next segment. He's going to have to make a big decision. Are you going to count? And I know I was talking about this with Brett yesterday. Are you going to count on Christian Javier coming back totally healthy, able to go 5 to 6 innings in the playoffs? Are you going to count on Spencer Arrighetti coming back and being the dominant pitcher he was last year? Are you going to count on Luis Garcia and his reworked windup to be a factor for you? JP France, is he the underdog? Is he a guy that everybody's probably going to look like glaze over, but he's going to be the guy that could be the best of them all? So is Dana Brown just going to look at these guys and say, one of these guys is our option. We don't need another starting pitcher. But then if you look at what the Astros are having to do, go to guys like Jason Alexander. We don't know how long Lance McCullers is going to be out. Even when Lance McCullers was not out, he was not the same guy he was for 4 or 5 games earlier in the season. He's just struggling. And I would love to see this guy. Trust me, I love a comeback story. Lance McCullers was that comeback story. And Brett and I talked about this early in the year. He could have been the comeback player of the year. But unfortunately, he got hurt. Then he came back. He wasn't the same guy. He had one good game. And then he had a couple bad games again. And then the blister injury happened. And he's not going to blame anything. He's not going to blame injuries or anything like that. He's got that bulldog mentality. He reminds me of this goes back a little bit, Mike Hampton, but he just has trouble staying healthy. And I think Mike Hampton I think Lance McCullers has better stuff, but Mike Hampton knew how to pitch with what he had. And so I think I don't know. The Astros just got to do something. They got to, I know they're got the second best record in American League right now. We're whining about nothing, but at the same time, come playoff time, are you really going to go to war with Framber Valdez and then Hunter Brown, who was good, but all of a sudden is struggling? maybe he could turn things around. And Brandon Walter, who has been good, but who knows what we're going to get in the playoffs. So, yeah, I know some people are talking about in the chat, the Astros need a bat. The Astros need a lot. But the question is, how much can they really afford to go get? And that's what we'll talk about next. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. But I got to take a second to talk about this great product over at Game Day Hue. I know Brett and I always wear a lot of this stuff that have a lot of writing on here, like this says Astros on here. But if you want something that has a little bit less on there, why don't you check the Game Day Hue? It's got nothing on it. It's got like the Game Day Hue logo on this side. But it's if you want something simple, sleek, something that you go golfing in. I don't have the gloves on, but Brett showed you yesterday the gloves. But it's clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colors for every pro and college fan base. So Astros, I got this for the Astros color, and it's about letting your color speak for you. No giant logos, just smart. It's a versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. So whether I'm going to Topgolf or whether I'm just going to the beach or just walking down to the pool down the street, it's something easy and it's not distracting. It's just sleek. And it feels comfortable. It just feels like very lightweight. And so go ahead and check out Game Day Hue. So right now you can get 15% off with the code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals. So now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com. The code is MLB15. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go subscribe to us, go and make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. So it's very obvious right now the Astros can play good against the good teams and then struggle against some of the bad teams. If this was going to be going into the playoffs, that's actually a good thing. But at the same time, it just seems like the big elephant in the room, despite the need for a starting pitcher. It didn't matter what Jason Alexander did today because the Astros only scored 2 runs. Even if he allowed 2 runs in this game, they would have been tied. And obviously they weren't going to score any more runs, so the offense needs some help. John Singleton, I don't think he's the answer. I think he's a temporary Band-Aid until the Astros can figure something out. John Singleton was a guy that was useful last year, but you have Christian Walker this year, and Christian Walker has been coming around. He's been having great July. But Dana Brown is he's very vocal. I don't know if that's a good thing that he's so vocal. He's like, this is exactly what we need. This is what's on my wish list, my Amazon wish list. So he said that he is prioritizing the bats before the trade deadline next week. So he said that cross your fingers, hope nothing else happens, but the injuries happen. So I'm always thinking about pitching when I'm talking to the other clubs. If there's possibility to get a starter, I'll take them a starter. I'm always in the market for a starter. That said, I'm really locked in on the bat. If we can get a bat, it'll be really good for this team, particularly a left-handed bat. So we really don't know the severity of Isaac Paredes' hamstring. Is it something major that they're not telling us? We know it's severe, but how severe is it? We know that situation that what type of guy, how long is he going to be out? Who's going to be the answer at third base long term? because right now, I don't know if Shea Whitcomb is the answer. Who played third base today? It was Dubon. I don't know if Dubon is the answer. Greg Little says 6 8 weeks. So I don't know if that is the exact. I would love for him to be only out that much, but hopefully it's not that much longer. So if he's out for the rest of the season, that's going to be bad because Isaac Paredes was outside of Jeremy Pena. He was one of the most consistent hitters in this lineup. And so I don't know what the Astros are going to be doing. They've got to make a decision in the next, 6 days? And it's going to hurt. It's going to sting. You hear like the Padres, I think, are talking about trading Dylan Cease, and they're asking for 2 major league players in return. So you're talking about that's what the price is out there. I know that Willard's, I don't know if he's actually on here, but he's been talking about trading for Luis Robert for a while. But Robert has actually been pretty good recently. He might be a buy low type candidate. You may not have to give up a lot to get him, but at the same time, he's been hitting better recently. So getting back to what Dana Brown had to say, he said it wouldn't be a preference to trade off the major league roster. In other words, he doesn't want to have to trade Bryce Matthews. Everybody's going to be asking about Bryce Matthews. Why? We saw why. Bryce is nice. Bryce is right. This guy is going to be a marketing poster child for the Houston Astros. If he clicks, if he becomes what the Astros want him to be, this guy is going to be a fan favorite in Houston. I can already see it with his personality, with just his name. The Bryce is right. I know that the beat writers are already taking off with it, but I think that the Astros don't want to trade him. And I think personally, that's why they brought him up. That they're like that. They're desperate. They needed players, but also they didn't want to trade him. And they knew that teams were going to be asking for him. So basically, the question was asked to Dana Brown. If you had to choose between a pitcher or a hitter, this is what he had to say. We can't be choosy. You have to take whichever one comes. And we'll take whichever one comes. If we can get an infielder, great. If we can get an outfielder, great. But the priority is a bat. Could he get a hitter and a pitcher? Sure. But it's not going to be the quality of hitter that would move the needle in any direction. It would just be another Band-Aid. And so if you want to get that impact player, I think Dana Brown only has one ace up his sleeve. I know names that have been tied to the Astros is Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins. These are guys that the Astros could trade for that would keep the Astros underneath the luxury tax threshold. So other names that you can see is Rockies outfielder Mickey Moniak, Chicago White Sox outfielder, not Robert, but Mike Tauchman. The Devil Rays, not the Devil Rays. How far am I going back? The Tampa Bay Rays are not, they're not looking at moving Brandon Lowe. I know that a lot of Astros fans would like to trade for him, but at the same time, he's on the IL right now, so you can't really trade for him at the moment. So there's not a lot of left-handed options out there. O'Hearn makes the most sense. Mullins, he's not having the best season, but maybe coming to a competitor, maybe coming over here to the Astros would change things. I just think that I know a lot of people are talking about the Kyle Stowers with the Marlins. It would make no sense for them to trade him. He has a few years of team control left. There's no reason why a young team would trade him unless you're just going to totally restock your farm system with one trade. And he would be a good fit for the Astros. I just don't think that the Marlins would trade Stowers. So Dana Brown has got to make a decision. And whether it's going over the luxury tax threshold, just remember that Jim Crane would prefer not to, but this is what Dana Brown said. He said, Jim is committed to spending money when it comes to winning. I think Crane understands that if we continue to play well, we're going to make it to the postseason with a chance to win this division and go deep again, especially when guys start coming back. Jim has always been supportive, and I think he'll do whatever it takes to get better at the deadline. So if you got to trade for a player and go over the luxury tax threshold, I don't think Jim Crane is going to be like, no, like the Washington Nationals did to the rumored Astros trade for Bryce Harper back in the day. I still get mad about that. It's like everything was set in place, and then it wasn't the only one he nixed, apparently. But who knows? The Astros have a lot of guys coming back, but you can't wait for them, and you can't count on them coming back healthy and ready to compete. Now, I guess you can argue, do the Astros really need to trade a lot of players, a lot of prospects for so-so guys? Who knows? Their farm system is already thin as it is. But that's what Dana Brown is kind of battling right now. He's got the angel on one shoulder, basically saying, well, do you really need to trade? Then you have the devil on the other side saying, yeah, it's time to trade. Let's trade all the prospects because parades are cooler than prospects. And so Dana Brown, it's going to be interesting 6 days, and we'll go and keep you up to date on the Locked On Astros podcast with all the trade rumors, everything that comes out. We just know that the Astros are in desperate need for a bat, and it showed in today's game. Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go to subscribe to us. Go and make it your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. We'll be back on Sunday unless there's some breaking news over the weekend. And as Brett always says, go Astros.